300 horsepower in a Ford Maverick? That number alone should stop you scrolling right now. For years, the Maverick has been America's favorite value pickup, cheap to buy, easy on gas, and honestly, a little underpowered if you wanted real excitement behind the wheel. That story is reportedly changing for 2027, and if these reports hold up, this could be the biggest shakeup this little truck has ever seen. According to multiple automotive outlets, Ford is introducing a new performance-focused Maverick ST trim for 2027, and it's said to be powered by a turbocharged 2.3-liter EcoBoost engine, the same architecture found under the hood of the Mustang, reportedly tuned to push out over 300 horsepower. That would be a massive leap from the outgoing turbo four-cylinder, which currently tops out in the 250 horsepower range. If these figures are accurate, we're talking about a compact truck that could genuinely compete with hot hatchbacks in a straight line. But horsepower alone doesn't tell the whole story. Reports also point to this ST version coming exclusively with all-wheel drive, paired with a sport-tuned suspension setup designed to handle that extra power without feeling loose or unstable. Some outlets have described sharper throttle response, larger brakes for better stopping power, and adaptive drive modes that let you switch between comfort, sport, and off-road settings depending on what you need that day. And here's what makes this even more interesting. Ford has already been testing serious performance upgrades on the current Maverick platform, with a factory-backed 300 horsepower package that borrows its turbocharger straight from the Mustang EcoBoost. That real-world testing suggests Ford already knows this kind of power is possible on this chassis, which makes the idea of a fully engineered 2027 ST trim feel a lot more believable, and a lot less like just another internet rumor. So why does this matter for everyday truck buyers? Because the Maverick has always been about doing more with less: small footprint, big utility, low price of entry. If Ford genuinely manages to inject Mustang-level power into that formula, without destroying the fuel efficiency and affordability that made the Maverick a hit in the first place, this could become one of the most exciting compact trucks in America. Now, before you get too excited, there's a lot more to unpack. What about the price? What happens to the beloved hybrid version? And is Ford risking too much by turning a budget truck into a performance machine? Let's talk pricing and trims, because this is where things start getting real for everyday buyers. Ford's current Maverick lineup starts with the XL, moves through XLT, and tops out at the Lariat, with prices historically ranging from the low 20,000s up to the mid-30s depending on options. For 2027, reports suggest Ford is keeping that same basic structure in place, but reportedly adding this new ST performance trim on top of the lineup, meaning it likely won't replace the affordable versions people already love. Instead, it seems to be positioned as a halo model for buyers who want a Maverick with real teeth. As for the rest of the engine lineup, according to industry reports, the standard turbocharged four-cylinder is expected to carry over, though possibly with a mild bump in output. Some sources suggest output climbing into the 260 to 265 horsepower range, up from the current 250. And the hybrid model, which remains the Maverick's biggest selling point for fuel economy, is reportedly getting retuned as well, with combined output possibly rising from 191 horsepower to around 200. If those numbers hold up, that's a nice bump in performance, without sacrificing the roughly 40 miles per gallon city rating that made the hybrid such a hit with commuters. Now, towing and payload. This is where the Maverick has always punched above its weight class for a compact truck. Reports indicate towing capacity across the lineup could range from around 2,000 pounds for the hybrid up to as much as 4,500 pounds for a properly equipped EcoBoost odd model with a max tow package. That would keep the Maverick competitive for buyers hauling small trailers, boats, or campers without needing to step up to a full-size F-150. So how does this stack up against the competition? The Maverick's only real like-for-like rival in America right now is the Hyundai Santa Cruz. If Ford truly rolls out a 300 horsepower ST variant, that would put the Maverick in a performance category. The Santa Cruz simply doesn't compete, in potentially making the Maverick the most powerful compact truck sold in the United States, at least according to current reporting. Of course, all of this comes with a caveat we have to mention. Some outlets covering the 2027 Maverick have suggested the truck could remain largely unchanged from the current model, so these performance claims are still not universally confirmed across every source. Nothing here should be treated as locked in until Ford makes an official announcement. Now let's get into the part everyone actually notices first: how this truck looks and what you'll be sitting in. Reports suggest the 2027 Maverick is getting a fairly significant visual refresh, with sharper design lines compared to the current model. Nothing dramatic enough to make it unrecognizable, but reportedly enough to give it a more aggressive, more modern stance on the road. For the ST performance trim specifically, expect the usual visual cues that separate a performance model from a standard work truck. Think unique front fascia treatments, larger wheels, and possibly a more pronounced hood design to help with cooling for that bigger turbocharged engine. We're also seeing this pattern echoed in Ford's real-world performance packages already available on current Maverick trucks. Those setups reportedly include upgraded exhaust systems, hood and body graphics, and larger wheels finished in bronze or black. If Ford carries a similar visual language into the factory-built 2027 ST trim, it would give this truck a genuinely distinct identity on the road, rather than just being a regular Maverick with a bigger number under the hood. Inside the cabin, reports point to upgraded technology across the board, though specific details remain somewhat limited at this stage. Given Ford's recent trend across the F-150 and Ranger lineups, it's reasonable to expect a larger central touchscreen, updated driver assistance features, and possibly expanded connectivity options like wireless smartphone integration. None of this has been officially confirmed by Ford for the Maverick specifically, so treat these as educated expectations rather than locked-in specs. One area worth watching closely is seating comfort, especially for that performance ST trim. Some early testing on Ford's existing 300 horsepower Maverick packages has pointed out that the stock seats designed more for hauling plywood and daily commuting aren't ideally suited for aggressive cornering. If Ford wants the ST trim to feel like a true performance package rather than just a power upgrade, updated sports seating with better lateral support would reportedly need to be part of that formula. Safety features are expected to carry over largely unchanged from the current Maverick, which already includes a solid suite of driver assistance technology. Nothing in current reporting suggests Ford is planning a major departure here, so if you're already comfortable with the safety tech on today's Maverick, the 2027 version should feel familiar in that department. Put it all together, and what we're reportedly looking at is a truck that keeps its practical, everyday appeal, while adding a genuinely aggressive option at the top of the lineup for buyers who want more excitement without stepping up to a full-size truck. Let's wrap this up with timing and what this all really means for the compact truck segment. As of now, Ford hasn't issued an official confirmation on the exact release date for the 2027 Maverick lineup, including this rumored ST performance trim. Based on typical Ford production and revealed timelines, industry watchers generally expect more concrete details to emerge sometime later this year, with the truck potentially arriving at dealerships in the latter half of 2027. Until Ford makes an official statement, all of this remains reported expectation rather than confirmed fact. So, what does this mean for the compact truck segment as a whole? If these reports turn out to be accurate, Ford would be doing something genuinely bold. The Maverick built its reputation on being the affordable, practical choice, the truck for people who wanted utility without a massive price tag or a massive fuel bill. Adding a genuine 300 horsepower performance variant on top of that formula would be a real shift in identity for this nameplate, without necessarily abandoning what made it popular in the first place. It's also worth remembering the bigger picture here. Ford already has real-world proof that this level of power works on the Maverick platform, thanks to the performance packages already being tested and sold for current model year trucks. That gives these 2027 reports a lot more credibility than your average internet rumor, since Ford isn't just theorizing, they're actively validating this kind of power on this exact chassis right now. That said, we do want to be upfront with you. Not every source agrees on how significant this refresh will actually be. A few outlets covering the 2027 Maverick have suggested the changes could end up being more modest than reported, potentially sticking closer to the current engine lineup rather than introducing a full 300 horsepower factory trim. So while the story is exciting, it's still developing, and we'd recommend treating specific horsepower numbers and release dates as unconfirmed until Ford makes it official. For competitors like the Hyundai Santa Cruz, this potential move by Ford could force a response. Compact trucks have historically competed on practicality and price, not outright performance. If the Maverick genuinely becomes the segment's power leader, that could reshape what buyers expect from this entire class of vehicle going forward. So here's the real question for you. If Ford does deliver a 300 horsepower Maverick ST, would that be enough to get you into a compact truck instead of a full-size pickup? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because we want to know if the Maverick can pull off being both practical and genuinely exciting. Thanks for watching Cars Review. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you're subscribed, because we'll be covering every update on this truck the moment Ford makes it official.